What's up, friends? So you want to say hey, Ben and Adam, you want to say hey? It's on the horn.
Zach, there was no fight this game.
There's no fight this game. Indeed. Did you expect one? No, they weren't playing St. Louis.
Chippy with about 10 seconds left.
Do you know who I thought might fight was Phil and the I'm not like height shaming or anything, but I was going to describe him as the short bald ref because Phil and he were going back and forth in that second half.
For about 80% of most games, I think that Phil's going to fight the officials.
I thought Phil might get teed up.
That might be our equivalent of a goalie fight in hockey. It's
coach versus ref.
Can we do that?
That would be fun.
What's up, friends? I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. VCU beat Fordham 82-63 today. And they have clinched a double bye in the A10 tournament, which is great. They moved to 22-7, 13-3. Great bounce back after the emotions of how that St. Louis game ended last Friday. Rams have won 10 of their last 11. And spread scoring effort, Jadrian Tracey, 15 points, 4 assists. That's a team high. Barry Evans, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Had a couple of thunderous dunks in that second half. We asked him which one was his favorite. He had like a two-handed hammer of a jam off of in the middle of the lane off of Jadrian Tracey, bounce pass from the baseline, and then an alley-oop on a baseline cut off of a Tracey lob from the lane. And he said definitely the two-handed jam. That was one of the biggest crowd pops of the afternoon in a fun homecoming atmosphere. So those are your two leading scorers. Zach Joachim, 11 points. Nick Lewis, 11 points. 3 of 7 from 3. He had all 3 of those threes in the first half. Talked to him and Phil Martelli about it after the game, about his response to, in these last few weeks, it really feels like we're back to the Nick Lewis that we all got to know early on in this season in non-conference play when he was multi-time A10 Rookie of the Week. And then he had a freshman slump, right? And I think that's inevitable when so much has been put on his shoulders and asked of him as a freshman, obviously starting throughout the season, playing a big minutes load. I loved, Phil Martelli said they've got tracking chips on like all of the players during practice so they can see like the amount of ground they cover and the steps they take and everything. And he said Nick Lewis is always at the top of that. And so a big part of the reason that he kind of had that slump early on in A10 play was just the wear and tear, of a Division I college basketball season on a freshman who's played the minutes load that he has. And these last few weeks, he's back to the Nick Lewis that we got to know early on in non-conference play. And so that's been great to see. Michael Bell, 7 points, 6 rebounds. Terrence Hill, 7 points, 2 of 5 from the floor. I mean, not like the high volume scoring effort that we've seen from Terrence so many times this season. I think maybe good to see that they're not as dependent on him. Like, there were long stretches of this season where it felt like this team was really dependent on Terrence Hill and Zach Joachim. And those two guys were good today, but they did not by any means have to carry this team. VCU led wire to wire for 37-14 by as much as 23 points in that second half. Really impressive, too. I asked Phil Martelli and the guys about this in the post-game presser afterward. Barry Evans, Nick Lewis, and Jadrian Tracey were the 3 that we talked to. And VCU's 32-20 edge in the paint, 43-36 advantage on the glass against a Fordham team that has a lot of size in that front court, right? And tends to dominate teams in terms of points in the paint and rebounding. And VCU didn't let them do that today. Phil said they had to use their athleticism to kind of sky over those bigs who are huge, but a little more grounded to the floor than a lot of VCU's players. And so they used that athleticism to out-rebound them, to get up over those maybe less athletic guys. Djokovic, a team-high 30 over on the plus-minus. VCU was really good in the minutes that he was on the floor. And I don't know where my chair went. I've lost my chair right here, but we're going to pull it up because I'm going to sit down and we're going to get to the play-by-play. As I said, no ties, no lead changes in this game. VCU led wire to wire, but it did get tenuous for a second there, early in the second half, when Fordham cut the deficit just to 2. So we're going to get into it here. Kind of mutually sloppy offensive start to the game for both teams. I think our first points didn't come until 17-15. So we went, almost 3 minutes there without any points. And then Brandon Jennings catch and shoot 3 on the left wing. He's been hitting from outside lately, which is great to see. He finished with 8 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, 7 rebounds, 2 of 2 from 3, 3 of 5 from the floor. That's a very Brandon Jennings game, just a little bit of everything in terms of contributing to winning. And Fordham never led or tied again after that. And it's 6-5 at the right after the under 16 with 15:05 to play in the first half. After Reeves, DeJour Reeves, who's the A10's leading scorer and has been like a quiet 22 points from him. It didn't seem like he got 22. Then you look down at the stat sheet and he led everyone in scoring. He's a hooper, man. I love watching him play. But after his coast-to-coast finish and one rolls in, he hits the free throw. That's 6-5. And then VCU, this is where they took control. It's a 12-0 run spanning 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Started with a Jadrian Tracey finish down low off a Jennings assist on a second chance opportunity when Terrence missed a free throw. And then I all caps Barry Evans' rugged drive, finished through contact, and one. That made it 15-5 with 11:06 to play, although Barry missed the free throw. And then Nick Lewis catch and shoot three on the right wing off a Jennings assist from the middle of the lane. That's 18-5 with 10:30 to play in the first half. VCU was outstanding defensively throughout the course of the game, but especially in that first half. What are the first half numbers? Yeah, Fordham shot 18.2% from three, 20% from the field in that first half. So they got it going offensively a little bit in the second half, but still finished 32.8% from the field, 30.8% from three. So a really good defensive game for VCU. And Lewis, another three in the right corner at 9:56. That made it 21-8. A couple minutes later, a Jennings steal led to a run out that Barry Evans led, and he lobbed to Tracey, who slammed home the alley-oop for 23-11. And then VCU is really in control there. Another sequence to highlight was Zach Joachim drive from the left wing, hung in the air. He was fouled. He was trying to dunk, but he kind of lost it when he was fouled, and it ended up being like a bit of a floater that rattled in. He converted at the line out of the under 4 stoppage. That made it 31-18 VCU with 2:33 to play until halftime. And then Zach Joachim had a 4-point play. I want to say that's his first of the season from what I remember. Terrence has a bunch of them. I don't remember anyone else getting, 4-point plays on a consistent basis this season on this team. But he had a catch and shoot three on the left wing plus the foul. And then he hit the free throw. That made it 37-20. And that was VCU's largest lead of the first half. And they took a 37-22 advantage into the locker room. Obviously an outstanding defensive half. I should know this. I think that's hey, Ben and Adam, 22 points and a half for Fordham. Is that VCU's best defensive half of the season? I want to say that's the lowest total they've held anyone to in a half.
I could find out.
I'd have to go back and look at the halves, but that's got to be close to it.
Better first halves of the season, including a Dayton, including a first half against St. Louis. Yeah. That was a good half.
It was, and then it got tenuous early on in that second half. Because after Brandon Jennings finished with his left coast to coast off glass for 39-22, Fordham got going, and they put together a 13-2 run that made it 39-35 when Akira Jacobs, who was really good, hit a catch and shoot three on the left wing at the 17:09 mark. And all of a sudden it was a little tenuous in here. It was homecoming festivities, and so it was a very lively atmosphere throughout the night. Phil was hot with that one official specifically off a few questionable calls early there in the second half that was part of Fordham getting back into it. Phil called a timeout in that sequence, and it got all the way down to 2 at 43-41 when Jacobs stepped into a catch and shoot three on the right wing. I wrote, this game has turned real fast. But then VCU responded, right? Started with an Evans baseline cut. He received under the cup, finished a reverse off glass. And it was an and one. He was fouled as well. He hit the free throw. That made it 46-41, and VCU was kind of back in control at that point. Terrence stepped into a huge three after he did not shoot it well at St. Louis. Good to see him get going a little bit from outside, back to the Terrence Hill that we've seen all season in terms of his outside shooting. That was from the top of the key. That made it 49-43, VCU at 14-28. But then Jacobs hit another three. It's 49-46, and this game is still close. And then here's the sequence that I want to highlight, because this is where VCU kind of finished it off. Tyrell Ward, nice reverse finish off glass, off a feed from Djokovic at 12:47. That's 51-46 VCU. Michael Bell, pretty baseline cut. He was fed by a driving Ward from the lane. That was a really great look from Tyrell. Bell was hacked on the dunk attempt. He hit one free throw, 52-46. And then an offensive rebound off of Mike's second missed free throw. Tyrell grabs it, hits Terrence on the top of the key, and Terrence sinks the catch and shoot three for 59-46 right before the under 12. And the Siegel Center erupted. I thought that was probably the biggest crowd pop of the afternoon. And VCU was back in control, up 9 at that juncture. Timeout Magpio and Fordham right at the under 12. And then a couple Tyrell free throws for 57-46, which makes it a 57-46. What's the math there, guys? An 8-0 VCU run. And then they just kind of steadily and methodically lengthened it out from there. Barry Evans' hook shot on the right block with 8:09 to play made it 64-53. Phil challenged. I'm in the middle of On the Horn. Are you asking me questions right now?
Second half run. What were the numbers?
Oh, that's perfect actually, because I was just getting into that. So after Fordham cut it to 2 briefly there at 43-41, there was an 8-0 run. After it was 49-46. What's up, Chris? Hey, say hey to On the Horn. Marcus and Chris, quick 2 cents on the game.
Fun.
like Phil Bartelli said, balance.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed. VCU 24-8 edge and bench points. Been a narrative of the season all along.
Unlike Zach, I love matinees. It is 3:30. And we're done.
And we're done.
And we're done.
Yeah, Phil gave me some crap there for me struggling with the early morning games.
Absolutely.
Early morning games. It was the afternoon.
I live for matinees.
Marcus, it was a here you go. Here's the run number. There's an 8-0 run to make it 57-46. Oh, for Fordham, 13-2. 13-2 Fordham run. So no, Brandon had a bucket like right out of the gates that made it 39-22, and then Fordham went on a 13-2. I guess that's a 13-0 run. I'm not sure where I got the. Okay, so yeah, 13-2 Fordham run to start the second half. It's a 13-0 run after Brandon hit the layup to start the half.
Fordham went on a 13-0 run to start the second half. Good to see you. I'll catch you.
You got it. 23. Yeah, VCU led by as much as 23. Sorry, we're getting the numbers on the runs down correctly. Where else do I want to highlight here? VCU was really in control after that sequence that we talked about with the offensive rebound, and Terrence hit the three from the top of the key. It was 11 at the under 8. Phil challenged an out of bounds call and he didn't get it right. Perhaps, I'm sure Phil would be the first to tell you this, perhaps the glaring negative as from his first year in charge at VCU is his performance on the challenged calls. I don't know what the tally is for the whole of the season now, but I think he has gotten most of them wrong. But I thought that was, I agreed with the challenge decision there. I thought that was going to be off, and they said the call stands. I guess it was inconclusive. I didn't think Barry touched it. Anyway, Brendan Jennings catch and shoot three on the right wing off a Jadrian Tracey assist. It was 6:05 to play. All of a sudden, it's back to 18 at 71-53, and this place was rocking. That prompted a Fordham timeout. And then the couple last sequences to highlight here, with 4:22 to play, I wrote in all caps, Barry Evans drops the hammer, my goodness. An emphatic two-handed slam. He was crashing the lane. Jadrian Tracey, really nice bounce pass from the baseline to feed him there. And then shortly afterward, a Tracey steal. He led the break, lob to Barry, who slammed home again on the alley-oop for 77-57. That was VCU's largest lead at that point. And then Jadrian Tracey, three on the right wing, 80-57. That's the largest lead of the game. And I wrote in all caps, game is over. Lazar Djokovic also had a fun dunk on a Nick Lewis alley-oop for 82-61 in those final sequences. But yeah, wire-to-wire win for VCU. Pretty dominant 19-point win over a team that at home at this stage of the season you should dispatch with relative ease. The Rams have clinched a double bye in the A10 tournament. They're 22-7, 13-3 in the A10. Everyone obviously, it's almost March. Phil said it's essentially March at this point after that game, and it is for VCU's purposes. And everyone wants to talk about at-large hopes. If you look at all of the projections, they are still hovering right there on the bubble. I want to say like Fox has them in the first four playing Santa Clara as 2 11 seeds, which would be really fun. I think it'd be awesome if VCU's in the first four, because of obviously this program's history in the first four and what they've done, making the Final Four run. But also they haven't won an NCAA tournament game in 10 years. It was 2016. 2016, right? Last VCU NCAA tournament win? Because I remember 2016, because I remember it in college. Yeah, it was under Will Wade, and they and they lost to, I think they beat Oregon State in the round of 64,
That sounds right.
and then lost to Buddy Hield's Oklahoma in the round of 32. VCU should have won that game. Buddy Hield willed Oklahoma, and wasn't that game in Oklahoma too? I think it was. So it was essentially a home game for Oklahoma, and you're playing Buddy Hield. I still have Buddy Hield nightmares sometimes. Anyway, that's the last time VCU won NCAA tournament games.
Why are we talking about this? It's still February.
So the first, I'm saying, my point is that the first four would be really cool for VCU, and that's the latest projection that I saw with them playing Santa Clara, and it's a chance to get your first NCAA tournament win, right? And I think they're an 11 seed in those projections, and then ESPN has them the first team in the next four out, so the fifth team out right now.
That large is on the table.
For sure, it is. I think so. I think the question is, if you get to you have to win your next four. I don't think you can't lose to Mason. You can't lose even at Dayton, and that game's going to be tough right now because Dayton's playing really well. And yeah, you're right. That's a quad one opportunity. And so I think if you win your next 4, you're in. You can lose to St. Louis in an A10 final, and they're going to be in on Selection Sunday. They obviously don't want to play that game. They want to win the A10 tournament in Pittsburgh.
It's going to be wacky A10.
I think that VCU and SLU have, on the whole of the season, head and shoulders been the best teams, but Dayton's playing really well right now. Dayton and G-Dub are the 2 teams I would not want to see in Pittsburgh, because G-Dub with a healthy Castro is much better than their record.
I think a guy like Day Reeves, who we saw tonight, can single-handedly win Fordham a game in a tournament like that.
For sure, but that'll be in the pillow fight.
Maybe 2?
Reeves is really good. Anyway, this is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim. This has been Rikosh and Adam Cheek. Goodbye from the Siegel Center. Tuesday against George Mason. This place is going to be rocking. That's senior night and everything.
Let's go.
Last home game of the year. We'll see y'all then.